Hey, 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 today is 7-Eleven Day. Yes, because it is July 11th. So, if you happen to live somewhere that has a 7-Eleven store nearby, you can go in and score yourself a free Slurpee. How about that? Yes, because it's 7-Eleven. So that's good news for you snackers out there. I also have a bit of good news too, because the Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer, back once again as your host here at The Daily Dope, presented by thegaminggang.com, of which I am the Grand Poobah. So today is Wednesday, July 11th. As I mentioned, it's 7-Eleven Day. And unfortunately, I don't have a 7-Eleven that's nearby me. So I think the closest 7-Eleven I've got near me is about 10 miles away. So for me, it doesn't make much sense to drive a 20-mile round trip to get myself a free Slurpee. Plus, I really don't need to have a Slurpee anyway. So welcome aboard. It is Wargame Wednesday. So that means I'm going to be taking a peek at a Wargame. And today I will be unboxing and taking a first look at Skies Above the Reich from my good friends over at GMT Games. This is a mainly solitaire game. It's a World War II game, and the player actually has to lead their squadron of BF-109s, I believe, against the American daylight bombing raids. So looks really interesting. It is a very heavy box. So I have the impression that we're going to crack this open and not going to be a lot of air inside this box. So it is available right now. I will talk about that in just a bit when we jump into the unboxing. Do have some news today that we're going to dive into, but before I do that, I do want to take another moment out just to give a special mention to the Wargamers out there who do subscribe and who do follow both thegaminggang.com and watch the Daily Dope or other videos on our YouTube channel. So thank you so much. I really appreciate your support. And of course, if you enjoy the stream, if you like the videos, be sure to subscribe. It's always appreciated. And if you like the vids, give them a thumbs up. I'm not here to twist your arm, but I always like to see some nice thumbs up on videos too. So do have a bit of news today, got some interesting stuff. And first off, let's kind of dive right on in, because if you're a fan of casual games or if you like gateway games, then you're probably familiar with Casual Game Insider magazine, which is produced by Chris James from, I want to say it's Stratus Games, if I remember correctly. So there is a Kickstarter going on right now for the 7th year of CGI, and I've got the dope. Casual Game Insider is the world's premier guide to casual tabletop gaming. Released quarterly, we focus on the most, I shouldn't say most, on the best casual games in the board gaming hobby. These games are relatively easy to learn, quick to play, and accessible to all ages. Casual Game Insider, CGI, is the world's premier guide to casual tabletop gaming. Thought they just actually said that. That's a little bit strange to repeat that. Each issue of CGI is jam-packed with great content. Even the ads are highly enjoyed by our readers. Really? I don't know. That's pushing it a little bit, right? Love the ads. Anyway, there is a quick, about a minute-long video that kind of introduces you to the magazine if you're not familiar with it. So kick on back and let's take a quick peek at the vid. Year 7 of Casual Game Insider did fund in the first 10 minutes of the crowdfunding project, and you can subscribe to the quarterly magazine digitally for a $10 pledge, or get the print editions for a $20 pledge. And the project does run through July 24th. I will mention I'm going to have a news piece online for Casual Game Insider for the Kickstarter later on today. I will actually even include a link for you to download the latest issue, which is the summer 2018 issue, absolutely free digitally. So if you want to check it out, if you're not familiar with the magazine, check it out. I think it's a pretty good magazine. I have a couple of little issues with it, nothing huge. Number one, the way they look at a casual game is kind of different than how I look at casual games. So strangely enough, say like last year, they had a lot of coverage for games that I consider to be casual games. So for an example, I'll use a great example, Hot Shots from my friends over at Fireside Games. Really loved it. Everybody in the gang really enjoyed it. Gave it a really good review. Even though we were playing it a little bit wrong, not completely wrong, but a little bit wrong. It should have been a little harder for us to win sometimes. But to me, that's a casual game, right? Bust it out, you play it, pretty easy to learn. Takes you about an hour or less to play. So I saw a lot of coverage from CGI last year about games of that sort. And then Chris James contacted me and said, hey, I'd love for you to submit your nominations for Casual Game of the Year. So I was like, sure, okay. Not that I played a ton, but like I said, Hot Shots, one of the games I really liked. Submitted it, and then they had their finalists, and it was kind of like, seriously? You went from like casual games to overly simple or abstract games. So that's what I was kind of like, nothing I had nominated, not like it's a big deal that something I nominated didn't make it into the cut, but it's sort of like one of the one of the nominees that ended up people voting on was Go Nuts for Donuts, which is fine. I mean, to me, that's a kid's game. It's a very, very quick game to play. It takes you just a few minutes, super easy to learn. But come on, really? I mean, to me, I don't even consider that like a gateway game. So I find that's one of the little knocks that I have on CGI is they'll provide coverage to games that have a bit more meat on the bone. But then when it comes down to them voting on their game of the year, they go with like really simple or abstract games. Other thing is, yes, there are reviews in Casual Game Insider. I've never seen them actually give a bad review or even a kind of meh review to anything. It's always, yay, greatest game ever. This is really fantastic. I would like to see a little more actual criticism in the magazine, but then again, it is here to promote the hobby and the love of the hobby. So I understand why, negative reviews or just kind of like, yeah, the game's okay reviews don't make the cut for the magazine. I mean, honestly, I don't like giving bad reviews either. And sometimes I just completely avoid doing a review if I don't like something. Just tell the publisher, hey, this is why I didn't like it. It's up to you. Do you want me to review it? Sometimes they're like, yeah, cool. We want the, any PR is better than, negative PR is better than no PR, right? And then others are like, yeah, we understand. That's okay. You don't need to do the review. So other than that, I mean, it's a cool magazine. It's a cool magazine. And honestly, $2.50 digitally every 3 months, that's a steal. I mean, it really is a steal. All right, so speaking of games, that would be right up CGI's alley. If you're a fan of Azul from Next Move Games, then you're going to be pleased to learn a new standalone title in the line will be premiering at Essen. It's going to be in October, and an overall release to trade will follow that. I do have a bit of the dope on Azul, Stained Glass of Sintra, which I swear when I first saw this, I thought it said Sinatra. And I keep wanting to say Sinatra. I don't know why. Fly me to the moon and we'll just play some casual games. Yeah, well, pretty horrible Frank impersonation. But anyway, here's the dope. Created by Michael Kiesling, Azul Stained Glass of Sintra, see, I wanted to say Sinatra again, challenges players to carefully select glass panes to complete their windows while being careful not to damage or waste supplies in the process. The window panels are double-sided, providing players with a dynamic player board that affords nearly infinite variability. Players can expect to discover new unique art and components in Azul Stained Glass of Sintra, including translucent window pane pieces, a tower to hold discarded glass panes, and double-sided player boards and window pane panels, in addition to many other beautiful components. The game is for 2 to 4 players, ages 8 and up, and plays in about 30 to 45 minutes. Azul Stained Glass of Sintra will carry an MSRP of $39.99 when it reaches North American shores late this year. I point out, I like to share news about like abstract games, casual games, things like that. I don't necessarily play many of them. Now, I've heard really good things about Azul. I just have never played it. I am the sort of person that usually when I play a game, I like to finish up and have kind of a story to tell from it. Abstract games don't really provide that for me most of the time. It's kind of like, what am I going to sit there and go, wow, the game was so close until you got that little blue crystal. I don't know. So anyway, next on my list of news is a big Kickstarter. It's from Cool Mini or Not. I know I don't talk a whole lot about Cool Mini or Not, but it's a Lovecraftian game. You say Lovecraft, you say Cthulhu, I come a-running. So I'm sure most people out there are very, very familiar with the Kickstarter that just launched for Cthulhu, Death May Die. And here is the dope. The other ones are being summoned. Face the monsters and embrace your insanity so you may disrupt the ritual long enough to kill them. Cthulhu, Death May Die is a cooperative board game for 1 to 5 players willing to take on the Cthulhu mythos like never before. Cultists are summoning one of the Elder Ones to consume our world, and it's up to the ragtag team of investigators to face the nightmarish forces and disrupt the ritual long enough to make the Elder One vulnerable and then kill it dead. That is one of the things that I don't dig about this game that I've heard about. It's like, really? I'm sorry. Your group of investigators are not going to kill Cthulhu dead. Tain't happening. Anyway, designed by Rob Davio, I think that's how it's pronounced, and Eric M. Lang, the game features monster artwork by Adrian Smith and investigator artwork by Karl Kapinski. Investigators come from all walks of life, each bringing a unique skill to the team, as well as 2 other generic skills. Madness is always at your side when battling unthinkable monstrosities from other dimensions. In fact, the investigators already start the game with a diagnosed insanity, which will be triggered by your encounters with the occult. You may be doomed by your mental breakdown or learn to use it to your advantage. The closer you are to losing your mind completely, the more powerful your skills will become. The Death May Die core box contains smaller boxes that hold the modular elements to create each unique game session. Players choose one of the 2 available Elder Ones and combine their contents with those of one of these 6 available episodes. Each of these boxes contain unique figures, tokens, and cards that are only used when playing those elements. The Mythos deck used in each game is a combination of cards from the Chosen Elder One box and the Chosen Episode box. Elder One? But Cthulhu isn't an Elder One. Cthulhu is a great old one. There's a big difference. Okay, I just noticed that. I'm like, Each episode not only indicates the map set up using the various tiles in the game, but also new actions the investigators can perform in order to accomplish the tasks required to disrupt that episode's ritual. They each also bring their own discovery cards for players to explore, and the monsters' behaviors and abilities are tailored to each unique story. I do have a quick, about 2-minute Kickstarter video that Cool Mini or Not did release. I like the sculpts. Sculpts look pretty cool. Although I have to admit, I'm not overly keen on the Cthulhu one. But let's kick back and take a look at the Kickstarter video.
Here's the situation. Those cultists over there are trying to summon an ancient evil into the world. They do that, the world ends. If we want to disrupt their ritual, we'll have to snoop around a little. You'll have to make tough choices in the field. Oh, you'd have to be crazy to fight those things. Ha, handy that. Just keep your weapons loose, kid, because those things bleed like anything else. Best to lean into the madness. It's an awful burden to carry. But a doorway to such power. And we'll need any help we can get when that Elder One comes through. You know, kid, this reminds me of the time we had to stop this thing called the King in Yellow. A terrifying and malevolent force bent on driving the whole world mad. Barely survived that. Damn. All right, training's over, kid. We're in a tight spot here. We're not all gonna make it. But we're gonna make sure it doesn't either. The only pathway to victory is madness. So let go, load up, and trust me when I tell you that even death may die.
Cthulhu Death May Die, funded for Cool Mini or Not in minutes. I'm not kidding, in minutes, and it was a $200,000 goal, I believe. The project does continue through July 24th. You can secure the base game, an exclusive investigator, as well as stretch goals at the $100 pledge level, and the core game should arrive in April of 2019. Or you can go all out and get all the goodies from this first pledge level, plus the Raleigh Rising expansion, or Raleigh, everybody pronounces it differently, which is set for a 2020 release, and that will run you $250. So, of course, that must be kind of almost like a bigger, maybe even like standalone release, which will come in 2020. So I do want to point out there are more investigators. I had to kind of crop that image to kind of get a better look at it. I have to say, the components look really cool. All the sculpts look really nice, except for Cthulhu, and I'll tell you why in a sec. Cool Mini or Not usually does pretty good stuff. So I'm not saying don't back it, right? I mean, especially if you like Lovecraftian games. As far as the designers, Eric M. Lang, I have not played tons of stuff that he's designed, but I've always enjoyed every game I have played that he's done. Rob Davio, if that's how it's pronounced, he's a little more hit or miss on his designs, in my opinion. So he was the designer for Mountains of Madness from Yellow Games that came out last year, and I know there are some people who like it. Honestly, there are probably people who don't really know much about the Lovecraftian mythos. The gang and I disliked it intensely. In fact, there were a few members of the gang hated it. I mean, they despised that game. So, and I wasn't keen on it either. But I don't know. I honestly don't know. I kind of get the feeling that this game is kind of designed from people who are like, well, we play a lot of Arkham Horror. We can come up with our own game. but they don't have like a really great background with the Cthulhu mythos. So first of all, pointing out that they're calling Cthulhu an Elder One, which I don't believe there's such a thing as an Elder One. You've got Great Old Ones, and then you've got Elder Gods as far as the mythos goes. And for the most part, the Elder Gods aren't really Lovecraft for the most part. A lot of them were created by other writers who, of course, Lovecraft had invited to, dip their toes into the mythos and add to it. So that kind of throws me a little bit. And then I don't really like the Cthulhu sculpt. I think his head is way too small. They've got a Star Spawn miniature as well. Looks almost identical to the Cthulhu sculpt, which I don't know about that. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it could be a lot of fun. It could be sort of, the minis are really cool. That's why I'm getting it. I want the miniatures, right? So that's a possibility. So just wanted to float that out there. I know this is going to be a big Kickstarter. I think it's at about $750,000 right now. So there are a lot of people backing it. And I know a lot of times people back cool mini or not Kickstarters because they want the minis. They want the cool minis, not maybe necessarily so much the gameplay itself. So before I move into my next news piece, I forgot to mention, this is a live stream. If you're watching live, there is chat available. It is through YouTube. And if you want to say hello, or when I start taking a look at Skies Above the Reich, if you want to ask a question or get a closer look at something, by all means, chime in and I will respond. Chat's not on the screen, but I do that because a lot of times I get some oddballs. And if they see their chat up on the screen in the video, then they just go hog wild. Whereas if I don't have chat on the screen, they really don't. It doesn't matter what they're posting in chat. Nobody else is seeing it besides me. All right. Anyway, so if you are a fan of Fantastic Beasts, oh yeah, because you got a new movie on the horizon, USAopoly has a game coming out, and it is Fantastic Beasts: Perilous Pursuit. And I've got the dope. Well, I had the dope. What happened here? Oh my gosh, I don't have the... sorry, I'll have to cover this tomorrow. Strangely enough, I thought I had all the news slides for it, but I guess I didn't. I forgot to upload them so I can get them downstairs here in the Duct Tape Studio. So let me jump onto the other news piece, because Wizards of the Coast is on the cusp of introducing a new collectible card game this September, which looks pretty interesting. There isn't a whole lot of information out about it, but there is a wee bit of dope floating around about the Transformers trading card game. Here's the dope. The Transformers trading card game is a battling card game designed for 2 players. Players build a team of Transformers character cards and power them up with a customizable deck of battle cards. Transformers character cards, such as those in the Autobots starter set and booster packs, are twice the size of standard playing cards. They can be flipped from bot mode to alt mode and back, and they feature premier printing treatment on one of their sides. Strangely enough, I'm not sure why they didn't do it on both sides. The deck of battle cards features action and upgrade cards to enhance Transformers character cards. The release date is September 28th, and Wizards is actually going to be selling exclusive 4-card boosters at both San Diego Comic-Con and Gen Con. Now, these cards will not allow you to actually play the game, but they are exclusive cards for the game. And my understanding is it's basically a battle game between Transformers and Decepticons. Obviously enough, you wouldn't have the Transformers fighting among each other. That'd be a little bit odd. No MSRP information just yet, which I'm a little bit surprised because it's coming out fairly soon. It's not that far off. It's end of September. So I plan on sitting down with some of the fine folks from Wizards of the Coast at Gen Con. I'm not going to do it at Comic-Con simply because there's just so much going on. And Wizards doesn't have a huge presence at Comic-Con. not like they do at Gen Con. So I will learn more about that, plus other things that are coming from Wizards of the Coast as well. So, pretty sweet. I would say that this could be interesting because you figure the Transformers already have a built-in fan base. So, I don't know. I figured, you know, at that point, you don't have to like build the game up. You got Transformers fans out there already. And for some reason, my camera here has dipped a little bit. Yeah, let me fix that. There we go. So I'm not like, you know, hey, I'm up. Hey, what's going on, gang? I'm up here. That was kind of weird. All right, so I'm going to jump into the unboxing and first look at Skies Above the Reich in just a minute. But gotta apologize. I had that news piece for USAopoly. The game looks kind of neat. For Fantastic Beasts. I gotta be honest. I'm not really a J.K. Rowling reader. I don't want to say fan because it's not like I dislike anything she's written. I've just never really read it. So I've never actually read Harry Potter. Yeah, I know. And I'm into fantasy stuff too. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe it was because so many people were like, oh, Harry Potter. And I was kind of like, ugh. I don't want to be like marching to that drummer. But anyways, so what I've got for the rest of the week. So tomorrow is Thursday. I love looking at RPGs on Thursdays. So I am going to take a deep dive into Mutant Year Zero, the core book from Free League and Modifius Entertainment. I've heard really good things about this system. A lot of people really enjoy it, especially if you're into post-apocalyptic settings. So we are going to get a nice look at this. I know really nothing about this system, so we're going to actually page through and look at pretty much everything in the book. So that will be on tomorrow's show. Then on Friday, I am going to unbox and take a first look at Istanbul, the dice game from my friends over at AEG. So nice title for us to do a little family-friendly Friday action. So I'll be taking care of that on Friday's show. Monday's show, I'm up in the air. I'm either going to do a review of Tales from the Loop from Free League as well as Modifius Entertainment, or I'll take a look at the newest Smash Up expansion, Oops, We Did It Again. I think it's Oops, We Did It Again. Is it? Nope, Oops, You Did It Again. Hey, how come they're blaming me? Yep, Oops, You Did It Again, which has 4 new factions for your Smash Up fun. And it's kind of funny because there's sort of obvious memes that somehow kind of fell under the radar, floated under the radar. And that is actually why it's called Oops, You Did It Again. As in, oops, AEG didn't even think of introducing these factions. All right, so let's move on to the unboxing, because today I'm going to be taking a look at Skies Above the Reich from GMT Games, designed by Jeremy White and Mike, I'm going to take a guess it's Asted. Artwork is provided by Antonis Caritas, Mark Simonich, and Jeremy White. The game is mainly solitaire, and it is available right now. It does carry an MSRP of $89. So let's switch cameras here and get this puppy on out. And I'm going to toss on ye old reading specs. So pretty cool artwork on the cover. Gotta like that. As I mentioned, as I opened up the show, that my understanding is that the player is actually in charge of a squadron of, I want to say, I'm pretty sure they're BF-109s. Let's take a look at the back, and it'll tell us. Yeah, when I do my unboxings, I love to come into these like stone cold. So it says, bombers fill the sky and the pressure is on. Hundreds of enemy bombers fly in tight formation, each bristling with 50 caliber armament aimed in every direction. Can you make a dent in the American air campaign? And if you do, will you still have a Stoffel to send home? Skies Above the Reich is a solitary game depicting a Luftwaffe squadron of BF-109s, yeah, that's what I thought, struggling to deter and destroy the relentless daylight raids over Germany during World War II. Each fighter in your Staffel is represented by a stickered block, and together they must confront the mighty combat box formation of the United States Army Air Force. This tactical game is a broad strokes depiction that presents the arc of the desperate air war, stretching from late 1942 to early 1945. Skies Above the Reich follows that trajectory in a series of missions strung together to make a campaign. Each mission will take a half hour or more to play, while a campaign can last anywhere from 6 to 60 missions. Wow. So you could be investing 30 hours or more. In each mission, you must take altitude and armament into consideration, as well as choice of weapon, angle of attack, and especially the determination of pilots to knock down those bombers and to survive. The combat box is a prickly beast, both a target and a lethal weapon, and your job is to figure out how to throw your pilots against it. Can you loosen the formation and knock bombers out, allowing your pilots to pounce on lone bombers? Will you choose rockets as your weapon of choice, or will you maneuver your fighters to come out of the sun and wreak havoc on the Americans? Will you keep your pilots together to attack like a sledgehammer, or will you split them up to come at the bomber formation from multiple angles? And what will you do if the bombers are protected by escorts? Aha! So, as I mentioned before, this is mainly a solitaire game. I do believe there's some optional rules included because it says players 1-2. I think there's some optional rules here for a second player as well. Maybe they make some decisions for the Americans. I don't know. It does show a game complexity of medium, so a 5 on a scale of 1 to 9. I noticed the back of the GMT box has changed a little bit. This used to be kind of like vertical, now it's horizontal. And then solitaire suitability, obviously enough, is a 9 out of 9. And the game is designed for ages 14 and up. As I mentioned before, this box it's got a lot of heft to it, so taking a guess, we may be seeing some mounted playboards or maps, area maps, something like that. So let's pop this open. And I'm going to take a guess, we're going to have a variety of different kind of, maybe not necessarily missions, because the mission is kind of the same, right? To shoot down bombers. But I definitely can tell you that the different armament is going to be available based on what year you happen to be in. All right, let's get this puppy open. All right, come on, come on. Love that. Gotta love all that noise. So we've got a couple of 10-sided dice. So we've got that. We've got different attack angles. So we've got nose, tail, and oblique. So we've got these different decks. Got continuing fire. Looks like a continuing fire deck, and we'll crack these open. So I see we've got the different blocks. We've got blue and black. I might take a guess that the blue might represent American bomber formations, possibly. So just got these. If you play Columbia Wargames, you're very, very familiar with the blocks. If you play Command and Colors, you're very familiar with these blocks. So we've got a rule book. As I mentioned, not a whole heck of a lot of air here. Wow, we got quite a lot of pages here, and the stock on this book is pretty thick. The paper stock. So we've got an introduction. It's talking about campaigns, missions, formations, the BF 109, auxiliary fighters. Talking about getting started. Talks about the components. Talks about the campaign setup. Let's kind of scoot this over so I'm not kind of cutting this off. Talking about select a season, pilot roster, Staffel log, mission setup, spending operations points, escorts, escort setup, command, determining the situation example. Game table layout. So of course, so far we've got a lot of illustrations here. Then section 3 is the mission, starting a mission, elements, lethal level, map 1, rockets and bombs, moving, an example of movement, returning, escort arrives or exits. So I have to admit, so far, looks like quite a lot of examples, a bit more than we're used to seeing in a GMT title. This rulebook does look a little bit different to start off with. And, damn it. Ah, come on, you. This camera's kind of screwing up. I don't know what's going on today. Boy, I tell you. Didn't have the news set up for USAopoly. Now this camera is slipping off. Like, hey, I'm not kidding. When I say this is Duct Tape Studios, this really is the Duct Tape Studios. It is like, I joke around that my budget on this makes a shoestring look like a cable holding up the Brooklyn Bridge. Seriously. So I will have to, after today's show, I'm going to have to change some of the stuff I've got holding the camera. This is just a cam. Then we've got the camera over up here. Anyway, I was starting to say that this looks like it's got, the book looks, it's a little bit different than most GMT books. It's kind of got a glossy paper stock. Lots of examples here. So you got aerial combat, advantage in aerial combat. Talking about recovery, an example of recovery. Big fonts too. I mean, reality is I don't even need the reading specs for this, but blasts, flak, examples of flak, cohesion checks, the approach. Oh, I see. The blue blocks, I guess, represent altitude. There we go. So I was wondering, I thought, oh, maybe these blue blocks are American fighter, not fighter, bomber formations. But no, it turns out that that looks like that is supposed to be for altitude. Then we got collisions, attack advantage. Talking about attack cards. Wow, there's a lot to this. I do want to point out, somebody had commented on a video I had done for the Doolittle raid, and talking about how, you know, they really dig that the solitaire games are out there, that like GMT's making solitaire games that are really in depth like that. But they were talking about how, you know, that's really just not for them. That it's just too much. And I gotta admit, yeah, you know, some solitaire games. I mean, if you are like a die-hard wargamer, yeah, you have absolutely no issue sitting around spending, you know, a Saturday afternoon playing a 6-hour solitaire game, or even longer than that, as we saw. On the back of the box, it talks about how you can have 6 to 60 missions, and each mission could take you 30 minutes or more. So, of course, you know, you could be investing loads and loads of time. But, you know, that tends to be the case with almost any solitaire war game. There aren't a ton of solitaire war games that you bust out and you play it for an hour and you're done. And I'm not just talking from GMT. I'm talking about games from, say, like Dan Verson Games, his Leader series of games. You're not going to bust that out and play it in about an hour, but it's just everybody's got their own taste, is pretty much what I'm saying here. So, I mean, I don't want somebody, once we look through this, you know, posting a comment like, oh, wow, that looks just way too in-depth. Yeah, I get it. You know, a very in-depth solitaire game isn't going to necessarily be for everybody. Right, so we got the rule book. Now it looks like we've got some play aids here. So, oh, this is the advanced game. Oh, there you go. So we got mission setup, operations menu. I mean, everything's pretty well spelled out here for this. There we go. And then we got the instructions for the basic game for Skies Above the Reich. Then we've got an aid for the attack sequence. So the attack phase shows you the sequence of play for that. So we've got approach, engage, burst, breakaway. Talking about the pursuit sequence of play. And the mission sequence of play. Blocks and markers. So I was talking about all the different markers, the different blocks. So yes, this looks like a game that is going to be very in-depth. So, which is cool. I dig that. You know, as I opened the show and talked about the Casual Game Insider magazine Kickstarter, you know, there's a variety of gamers. That's the best part of being a fan of tabletop gaming is you can enjoy really heavy, in-depth war games, solitaire games, multiplayer games, what have you. Just like you can also be a fan of lighter fare that you can bust out, get to the table with your friends, and play in an hour or two. I happen to be a fan of kind of epic games, epic multiplayer games. I happen to really dig those, and I'm a big theme guy. I think if you've watched this show in the past, you know I love theme in my games. I don't refer to games as Ameritrash or Euro games. It's American style and European style. So we got bomber damage, collisions, element cohesion, aerial combat table, blast procedures. We've got fighters. Got escorts, detonation, attack advantage. All right, then we've got a pilot roster. We got a pad of pilot roster sheets, I should say. It's like 2 sides to these. So you can actually utilize both sides. So we've got the pilots. Oh, so your pilots all stay the same. You don't actually name them, I guess. So that would lead me to believe that these stickers all probably have names. And then we've got the missions. Talking about experience, victory points. So we've got an off-map panel. Looks like this folds out. Yep. Showing a turn track, fate boxes. Then down here, we've got the escort display. So, of course, you would lay that out on the table. So it looks like you're going to need a good amount of room here. We've got a pursuit map. Jeez, I just keep taking more and more stuff out. Pursuit map for 1942. Pretty cool. I like the artwork. The artwork is very nicely done. So we've got, that's 1942. We got 43. And looks like a bit of a change in the look of the bomber. Yeah, a little bit. A little bit different. We got the pursuit map 44. Once again, a little bit different artwork here. And then 44 and 45. There we go. So we've got those. Then we've got situation manual. I wonder if this might have different missions. So it appears, I'm going to take a look here. It says how to use the manual. Use the instructions and mission setup table on the player aid folder to start a campaign and to set up each mission. Complete the determined situation step by flipping this manual open to the page corresponding to the formation map and mission type. Okay, so here we go. Situation inbound. Map 1. Situation near target, map 1. Talking about tactical points and flight limits. Outbound, wow, there is lots to this. Honestly, I think there's more to this than the Doolittle raid. Yep, so we've got different maps. So it looks like the situations we've got are inbound, near target, and outbound. And we have 4 different maps. So, looking at, just taking a peek here, looks like the different maps, it appears that it's possible that the different maps are just simply much higher bomber concentrations. All right, now we got the advanced rulebook. Yikes, wasn't that advanced enough? We got the game rules, talking about the pursuit maps. Okay, advanced and 2-player games. So we're going to actually see some information about the 2-player game. Advanced game EP and victory points. There's the pursuit, intercept, pursuit setup, first pass, gosh, engage, burst, next pass, regrouping, shrinking box, optional rule, gosh. Rules for 2 players. Oh, it says in the 2-player version of this game, players work together to win the campaign. They play each mission together cooperatively. They perform mission setup together, splitting OP and selecting their own fighters, auxiliaries, and attachments. The stickers are color-coded to make this easy. They each keep track of their own pilots on their own pilot roster, but each player only gets 9 BF-109 pilots. Each player takes the pilots on the top half of the roster, while the other takes the lower half. Okay. That's talking about taking turns, 2-player points, and some design notes. So, rather than a playbook, we get the advanced rulebook. So we've got that. Now we got the stickers. So we've got the sheets of stickers here. And yep, sure enough, they're actually showing the pilots' names right here. So it's showing the different pilots, and looks like we've got red team and yellow team. So these are the Luftwaffe pilots. And then here it looks like we've got some maybe auxiliary fighters, or yeah, I think that's what they probably are, the auxiliaries. Then we got counters, so we've got some counters here. So we're looking at, these look like different informational markers. Looks like some armament markers because it's showing cannon, jammed. These are dual-sided. Then we got bigger counters here. These are about an inch. So we're showing, looks like we've got some escorts. Looks like we've got some escort fighters here for the Americans, and looks like we also have some British escort fighters. Flip this over. Yep, so we've got Spitfires, Mustangs, Lightnings, and Thunderbolts. Element kaput. So we got these. Now we're going to get into the maps, and I believe we've got 4 maps. There's one. And I believe there's 2 in here, then 2 in here. And I doubt I'm going to have enough room to open the 3 and 4, because the 3 and 4 look like they're fairly large. So let's see what we've got here. And as I always point out, when you're taking these mounted maps or boards out of the bags that GMT puts them in, be careful, because you can easily kind of tear the paper. All right, so these are going to be dual-sided. At least this one's dual-sided. So we have, oh, that's map 2. So this is map 1. Let's try to get some of this in. Moving things all over the place. So we have formation A, formation B. So we've got, looks like we've got 9 bombers on here. So we've got evasive return. Looks like you can track pretty much a lot of stuff on the board here. Plus, you also have that kind of like fold-out chart that looks like you play with that too. It's talking about attack advantage. And as we flip this over, now suddenly we've got more bombers to deal with. So this looks like, and it's showing flank, tail, flank, nose. So it's showing nose is 11 to 1, flank is 2 to 4, tail is 5 to 7, and flank is 8 to 10 o'clock on this. Cool. I'll try to get a, oops, show a little better look at some of the artwork on here. Nice. Somebody must have moved one of the lights down here because I'm getting some shadow from the tripod, which I normally don't have. Like, what's going on here? Okay, so that's that map. Now, you can tell this 3 and 4 are pretty large. So, like I said, I doubt I'm going to be able to get the entire map, or board, I should say, in the shot. But let's see what we can pull off here as I move some things around. Oh yeah, this is huge. But it's cool because you see that the plane artwork changes. It's not, the plane artwork is not all the same. As you can see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like we got 4 panels wide. Yeah, so yeah, I can't. This is just the top half of this board. So pretty large. All right, so that is the map 3 and 4. We've got, let's pop these in. So we got map 3 and 4. We got map, or should say board. Oh, it does say map on it, so I guess I am right. So that is map 1 and 2 here. We've got the Allied fighter escorts, as well as some more informational counters here, as well as smaller informational counters. We've got the stickers for the blocks for the Luftwaffe fighters. We got the advanced rule book, the situational manual, the pursuit maps based on the year 42 to 45. We've got this fold-out display that I was talking about that you're probably going to need to also have out as you're playing, right by your bomber map. We've got the pilot roster sheets. We've got the various different player aids. I mean, honestly, it looks like there's a lot of steps to the game, a lot of steps to these missions, but it looks as if everything is really spelled out for you. It's a lot of detail. So we've got another sequence of play aid. We've got the basic game instructions. We've got the advanced game instructions and 2-player instructions, as well as mission setup and operations menu. And then we've got the 60-page rule book. We've got the 2 10-sided dice and a bunch of blocks. And that is what... Oh, you know what? I completely forgot. Let's look at these cards. Duh. Dummy. We've got continuing fire. I knew I was forgetting something. Alright, come on. Let's go. There we go. So we've got continuing fire, and then we've got attack cards. So let's see. Are these all continuing fire? Yep, looks like they are. Then we've got the oblique attack cards. And it looks as if these these different attack angle cards have a lot of stuff going on them. Oh, maybe not tons as I look at the back, but it's like there's some variations here. So we've got that. Got tail attack. It seems like there's more cards for tail attack than there were for the oblique. Come on. Got it? There we go. Okay. Got that, and then the nose attacks. Okay, so seeing the nose attack cards, so you're gonna have all these like variations. So I'm gonna take a guess. We've got, it says high, level, and low running across the right side of the card. So I'm gonna take a guess that's the altitude. Then you've got 0 through 5, and then a variety of different icons and numbers. So I do see on this card it's talking about like no ammo. So maybe that's saying that your fighter ran out of ammo. It's like we got gun jam there. So a variety of different results. And I'm going to take a guess that they're all going to be kind of similar. Now, interestingly enough, the nose attack seems to have a lot more options almost in it. Yeah, it looks like there's, you know, maybe not. Maybe they're similar. It just looks a little different. Because I see these numbers in the diamond, but you don't have, well, I guess, yeah, there are numbers in diamond on this one. So a variety of different results here, depending on the angle of attack with your fighters. I find it interesting that the game is actually designed where it's you're controlling individual fighters. It's not various different Staffels of Luftwaffe planes. It is just one squadron that you command. So then we've got, these are the oblique cards. So we've got the different angles of attack, and then we have continuing fire. And we're seeing hard roll, lucky shots. So it looks as if we've got bounced. Looks as if there's different hit results as far as attacking the bombers. Then it looks like there's like almost like, I don't want to say special events, but special instances. So we've got like confused, fall away, debris, bounced. So lots and lots. And then we got even showing maneuvers on the side here. Maneuver roll, maneuver climb, engine sputter. Wow, I mean, on one hand, I'm like, yeah, I really want to check this out and kind of dig into this game. And on the other hand, I'm kind of like, wow, this game is, I mean, even though it says it's a complexity 5, it looks like this game might just be not necessarily a little too much heavy mental lifting for me, but maybe a little too involved for the time frame that I have available to devote to playing some games. Not to say that I don't play games that are, you know, take a long time to play, because I do. So anyway, so good thing I remembered those cards there. I would have looked like a goofball going, yeah, that's what we got in the box. And it's like, yeah, what about the decks of cards, dummy? Anyway, that is what we find when we take everything from Skies Above the Reich outside the box. As I mentioned before, this is available right now from my friends over at GMT Games, and it does carry an MSRP of $89. One thing I point out with all GMT releases is if your interest has been piqued by an unboxing or by a review that I do, you don't want to sit around and wait to pick up a game. If you're interested in one of the GMT titles, pick it up while you can, because their print runs aren't huge. They don't have massive print runs. So games sell out rather quickly for GMT Games. All right, so that is it for today's show. As I mentioned, tomorrow, it's Thursday, so it's RPGs. So I will be taking a deep dive into Mutant Year Zero from Free League and Modifius Entertainment. As I mentioned before, I've heard a lot of good things about this, so I'm going to take a peek through, and then usually after I do the peek through, that's when I actually read the book and check things out so I can do the review. I'm not cheating. I have not cracked it open. So I treat my RPG book kind of page throughs or deep dives, I guess I can call it, the same as I do my unboxings for games. I don't read anything. I don't peek into it. I like to be surprised just like everybody else cracking it open for the first time. All right, so as I mentioned, that's it for today. When you're not watching the Daily Dope or other videos on the Gaming Gang channel here at YouTube, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. I will be back tomorrow for Thursday. So until then, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Thanks again for watching The Daily Dope, presented by The Gaming Gang. If you like this episode, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. And if you dig the channel, please subscribe. If you'd like to check out our previous episode, click right here. And if you want to check out a somewhat randomly selected episode, give a click right down here. It'll be like opening a box of Cracker Jacks. You just don't know what you'll get. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'm Jeff McAleer.